Came to me to say something today about support. It's part of the illusion to think that we're separate, to think that we're just this one being in this body. And at a human level, it'll always be like that. I mean, we just are in a body and we have sense perceptions that are uniquely ours, and nobody else has those. And they're filtered through a unique brain that's conditioned in a particular way. How we grew up, the society we grew up in, the country we grew up in, the family we grew up in. Meanings can be very individual and very specific to this person or that person. Being alone to some people may mean being safe, and to others it may mean being unsafe, because they need the connection, and others kind of withdraw because that's what's safe for them. So our worlds are really very uniquely ours in the psychological way. And that's really irreducible, as long as we're in a body. But it doesn't deny, and it doesn't how shall I say that? It doesn't mean that there's also this connection that's there, that may not be visible, may not be experienced by the senses, the way that a body experiences the physical presence of another body. But we can't do that right now because we're not close in that way. But presence can also be more subtle, and togetherness can be more subtle. Support can be more subtle. Support can mean somebody putting their arms around us and comforting us. Or it can mean knowing that there is support there for us. And really feeling that. Like when people have very significant spiritual experiences, often sometimes there's nobody present as such, but sometimes there is. Like people have experiences of when they're Christian, or even when they're not Christian, of Jesus or Mary coming to be with them, or talking to them, or showing themselves to them. Or it can be other saints. People in the non-dual tradition sometimes speak of Ramana Maharshi having come to them, having appeared and having communicated something of their being, something of their presence to the person. And so support can be subtle in that way. And as spiritual, as we're open spiritually, what we're opening to is more and more also being supported in that way, whether we know it or not, Sometimes that support is obvious, other times it's not so obvious. But it's still there, because the being and the collective psyche, human psyche, supports all of us in coming to know who we are and being who we are truly. Because this is what we came here for. This is what we came into this life for. And all the teachers and all the sages came to support people in that, support us in that. So there's support that we need at a human level, and conditioning that we have that makes us believe that we're separate and we're alone, and that makes it look like sometimes there is no support. And that's also why it's good to come together as a community, as a sangha, in groups, so that the more human aspects, that need to see another human, to know they're supported, to feel supported. That's why these things are very important, because when there's a conditioning that says I'm always alone, I'm never supported, how can that be undone except through an actual experience of support? And ultimately, we all need to experience support, because that's part of the expression of love that we're opening to. So there's a support in everything, not just the spiritual aspects, but also the human aspects, that ultimately needs to kind of dissolve the old conditioning that's somewhere in us, all of us, that says, I'm not supported, I'm all alone, I have to do it by myself. I have to, nobody's ever there for me. Those kinds of things, they're kind of part of the human collective psyche, but they're also parts of our psyche, because the two are not totally separate. All of us reflect the collective psyche and live parts of that. And then there's the way we've grown up that has, maybe highlighted some aspects more than others. Some will feel more alone than others, will have had less support than others. But all of us know what it is to feel alone and unsupported. And ultimately, that's not true. But at a human level, that can be a very real experience. And it's part of the healing from that experience that we come together in these ways to be with each other and to see each other, and to, if it's bodies in the same room, which is not very happening very often these days, to actually appreciate that there are others who value the same things, who love truth as much as we do, or who love love as much as we do. So here we are. And it's good to find ways of opening to support, letting ourselves be supported. You know, there's something that relaxes in that, that's very deep and very healing at the same time. And allows us to open to love much more fully.